Imagine you're a seasoned rock climber. You and your climbing partner of 15 years set out for your next adventure, but instead of reaching the peak and taking in the sights from the summit, you end up grounded, stuck in waist-deep snow. This was a predicament my friend and I, Jordan, ran into when I attempted my first winter summit of a mountain called South Sister in Central Oregon on a bitterly, bitterly cold January morning. Lacking crucial skills, experience, and ultimately preparation, we simply applied the same kind of planning that we had for our summer climbs, even though conditions had changed drastically. So after this failed climb, what did I do going forward? Well, I had to learn to readjust. Now, I've been an IT professional for as long as I've been a mountaineer and a rock climber. I've worked in help desk, I've managed IT departments, and most recently started a cybersecurity company. I've seen IT operations from the enterprise level to small to medium businesses down to 3 or 4 person startups. And I'm here to tell you that the cybersecurity threat landscape has drastically changed in the last decade or so. We've all seen the headlines, and we continue to see them on a weekly or even daily basis. Which big company had their data breach this week? And remember, these are only the circumstances that we see in the headlines. What about those small to medium-sized businesses that never make those headlines? I'll give you an example of a data breach that I actually lived through. I previously worked in the IT department for a ski resort in Central Oregon, and I'll just tell you that the seasonal employees were much more well-versed in the backcountry snow conditions than the changing cybersecurity threat landscape. During peak season one winter, an employee clicked on a malicious link in an email. Machines were locked, there was ransomware across the mountain, and ultimately our entire point-of-sale fleet was down. It was a complete nightmare. And let me paint the picture a little bit further. So we had families that had traveled across the country, across the world in some cases, had plunked down thousands of dollars on their dream ski vacation. And here they were, they couldn't even buy a lift ticket. They couldn't buy rentals. They couldn't go and visit a food and beverage location to get a drink, for example. Every moment that we scrambled to fix that problem meant company downtime, huge loss of revenue. We had some very, very angry customers. And ultimately, it had a huge negative impact on our brand loyalty and trust. And this was not the first avoidable data breach that was caused by an individual clicking on a phishing email link. In another situation, we had a user that clicked on a link and ultimately lost an entire suite of files, group sales contacts that were extremely valuable to the company, wiped out with a single click. These breaches were a regular occurrence because, again, each time one person, a single person, had clicked on a phishing email link. And our company simply hadn't adjusted to this changing threat landscape. And to be honest, who could blame us? As I see it, this was a training and company culture issue that we as an entire IT security industry have failed to adjust to. Think about it like this. If you work in a location that has heavy machinery or perhaps manufacturing, from day one of the company onboarding process, when a new employee joins, they're taught that the message is safety first. If an employee doesn't learn to account for workplace safety hazards, life and limb are on the line. It's more than just a catchphrase. It's a culture of safety and awareness that arose in response to changing conditions. Not convinced that internet security contains equally debilitating risks? Well, think again. We're talking about identity theft, bankruptcy, fraud, the list goes on and on. 50% of small to medium-sized businesses become unprofitable within a month of a data breach. And it's getting easier and easier for attackers wanting to breach a network. As an example, right now, out on the dark web, you can go out and download a kit that makes highly targeted phishing scams available to the masses. It scrapes company logos and disclaimers from web-based email services and sends communications tailored to a specific domain or even down to a specific user. One of these emails may install ransomware that will encrypt your files. These emails might appear as fake invoices from an otherwise trusted vendor, or even pose as a legitimate risk from somebody like your boss. The ease and automation of these tools means that it makes complete financial sense for attackers to continue to target smaller and smaller businesses. and that's not going to change. In fact, it's going to get worse over the coming years. Phishing simulations indicate that without training, 20 to 25% of users will click on or fall for a phishing email. That's a huge number, especially when you consider it only takes one person clicking on one of those malicious links to breach an entire network. One human error. This last year, Verizon found that around 93% of data breaches are actually caused by human error and begin with a social engineering attack or a phishing email as an example. When it comes to the cyber threat landscape, it's changed drastically, and we as an IT security industry have not adjusted completely to this change. Continuous security awareness training is the only proven way to address this issue. One-off training campaigns simply are not enough. The Ponemon Institute recently conducted a study about the effectiveness of security awareness training programs. And they found that the average performing program resulted in a 37-fold return on investment. And that was even accounting for loss of productivity due to training time. Even the least effective program showed a 7-fold return on investment. When your first and last line of defense is essentially your employees, how can you afford not to take this approach to addressing this problem? So here's an example of what adjusting to new conditions look like. Employees get educational material along with hands-on experience. This includes fully functional phishing simulations and interactive training modules tailored to today's threats. This type of ongoing campaign dramatically reduces risks, and it also satisfies compliance regulations such as your HIPAA or GDPR. We can no longer claim ignorance. It's our job to guide our users, to help them respond to new circumstances. A willingness to provide crucial skills and preparation will make all the difference. So let's empower our end users with the tools and knowledge needed to reach the mountaintop in changing conditions, in a changing industry. It's time to get in front of these threats and create a culture of security awareness within our organizations. Thank you.